Since the mid-60s, Americans began to notice strange phenomena in the sky. A sudden noise, a bang, and then everything would disappear. The government had to admit that it was actually tests of the new supersonic SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance plane. Decades ahead of its time, American engineers had developed and used new technologies and materials to create an airplane that could disappear like a ghost. The resulting aircraft flew hundreds of sorties over the next 30 years through Vietnam, North Korea, and other countries hostile to the United States, and not a single unit was lost. When detected by an anti-aircraft missile, the Blackbird simply changed course and accelerated. At the height of the Cold War, the U.S. Army needed a supersonic scout similar to the A-12 in service at the time. Engineer Clarence Johnson, the creator of the A-12, convinced the military in 1958 that it was possible to build an airplane that could simultaneously conduct reconnaissance and bomber missions at the same time. The discussion of the project lasted for several years. Eventually, in March 1962, Lockheed was awarded a contract to produce 31 of the planes. The SR-71 Blackbird flew for the first time in 1964. As a result of revolutionary developments of engineers, the plane became for years impregnable by enemy aviation and air defense forces. The Blackbird had the following features: a flight ceiling of 85,000 feet, 3,250 miles range on a single load, 78 tons on takeoff, and a top speed of 2,050 miles per hour. By comparison, the MiG-25 could reach a top speed of 1,596 miles per hour. The wingspan was almost 17 meters and the wing area 141 square meters. All of which made the SR-71 one of the largest military aircraft in history, but that didn't stop it from being stealthy in the air and the fastest aircraft ever built. What is the secret of the airplane's design? About 90% of the airframe was made of titanium to avoid overheating, because at high speeds the surface temperature reached 500 degrees. The State Route 71 was equipped with two Pratt & Whitney J58 turbofan engines with an axial compressor. The engine weighed 3.2 tons and was 5 meters 72 centimeters long, and a diameter of 1 meter 37 centimeters. In order for the State Route 71 to fly faster than sound, the pilot had to additionally control the air intakes. However, during the tests often malfunctioned, so the designers developed an automatic control system. A special fuel was created for the SR-71, which was also used to cool the overheated hull. 7 tubes were passed through the hull and the fuel cooled. The fuel was also laced with cesium, which helped reduce the exhaust temperature and visibility at cruising speed. Both engines consumed 600 kilograms of fuel per minute. An automated astro-inertial navigation system was guided by the stars, allowing the crew to determine their exact position at any time and in any weather conditions. An onboard computer and calculator was used to reconcile information. Air data calculator. In terms of appearance, the detailing of surfaces and the need to achieve aerodynamics to perfection resulted in a futuristic concept that was far ahead of its time. It was the first airplane to incorporate stealth technologies such as flat triangular wings, sideways deflected keels, radio absorption coatings. Pivoting keels were mounted on the nacelles of the engines, which were fully pivotable. The surface of the hull was coated with ferrite-based paint, which increased stealth, and at high speed, it reduced some of the temperature. There was room in the cockpit for 2 pilots. The Scout flew its first mission on March 21, 1968. The reconnaissance aircraft took off with a minimum supply of fuel and then refueled in the air. Without refueling, the SR-71 could last no more than an hour and a half and could fly about 3,000 miles. The main problem with the whole process was that it was expensive. one refueled ascent cost $8 million. The Blackbird was also difficult to control, and in order to take off at the beginning, it was necessary to accelerate down the runway to at 250 miles per hour. Once off the ground, it would take 2.5 minutes to climb to 24,600 feet. At this altitude, a speed of Mach 0.9 was to be maintained when these parameters were reached. Refueling took place, and only after the tanks were filled did the controls go into autopilot mode. Manual control was engaged after climbing to 78,000 feet at Mach 3. Landing was no less complex, and the pilots had to first engage the autopilot. The descent did not begin until the airplane had drifted down to 460 miles per hour. Landing was done at no more than 280 miles per hour. The State Route 71 touched down on the runway at 170 miles per hour, and then the brake parachute was released. The aircraft moved along the runway for 0.8 miles, after which the parachute would be shot off. The final stop was by the brakes. The main use of the SR-71 was reconnaissance, which it did with aerial photography, radar and thermal imaging devices. In 1 hour of flight over the area under study, it was able to survey more than 90,000 square miles. Initially, the Blackbird was supposed to be used for reconnaissance over the territory of the USSR and Cuba. But camera unsuitable for poor visibility conditions did not allow for reconnaissance over Europe. That is why it flew over Vietnam, North Korea, Japan, Syria, Jordan, and Egypt. Note that not a single Blackbird was shot down by the enemy. Only the air defense of Vietnam made more than 800 missile launches, but none reached its target. The story of this unique aircraft ended in the fall of 1989 when it was finally scrapped. Most of the remaining senior 71s were sent to aviation museums, and several units were given to NASA, which uses the State Route 71 for its projects. Since 2018, there has been talk of creating a new generation Blackbird SR-72 in an unmanned version.